Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet yet again for another tutorial. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on this gorgeous little granny ripple swatch. Oh, very nice. I actually was going to make a blanket for you guys, but I'm kind of running out of time this week, so I thought I'd at least give you the granny ripple swatch. You could have a little play, see how you go. And how gorgeous is it? I mean, look at that. Very basic stitch. The only difficult part is that very first row. The rest is easy, backward and forward, changing colours. I show you how to change colours once, and that's about it really. All you need for the tutorial is some yarn. I use this one here. It's an older yarn from Bendigo Woolen Mills. I don't believe they stock that anymore. You will need scissors if you're going to go further. You will need a needle if you go further, and you will need the hook size to suit. That actually calls for a 4mm hook. I'm using a 4.5 so you can see the stitches better. All right, so there it is. It's simply gorgeous. Now, there are many ways people do this blanket. Some chain on 18, add 6, some chain on 25 and they separate things. Look, there are many ways you can do it. This is just one way. There's no right or wrong way of starting. It's just everyone has their own ways of doing it, and this is the way I use this. It's an easiest way for me to understand, and I'm hoping that it helps you out as well. It is a repeat stitch, so eventually you will know exactly what you're doing after a while. Seriously, there is nothing difficult about it. All right, so I'm going to let you get started. Again, all you'll need is your basics. You probably won't even need scissors and sewing needle if you're just doing a small swatch. Pop little stitch markers in to stop your threads from coming loose when you're ready to start doing your measurements. And in the tutorial, towards the end, I actually discuss measurements with you so you can work out your measurements and how many chains you need to cast on. All right, so I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started making your gorgeous granny ripple swatch. Very nice. Good luck, guys. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off by doing a quick slip knot, and that is grab your tail end, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it there, holding your working end there, grab your back loop, passing it halfway over, hold it there, grab the other loop, pass it all the way over, pop your hook in, give it all a tug. Alright. Okay, so as you heard in the promo, we're just working on a swatch today, and my suggestion for you is to actually work on your swatch just so that you can get the measurements you need. Now for your count, you need 18 and a multiple of 18. So we're doing a 2 times 2. So we're doing 36 chains. And a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once, yarn over twice, and 3 times, 4, 5. All right, so what I want you to do, chain up your 36 and meet me back here in a moment. Here we are at the end of the row. We have our 18 chains. What we need to do now is we need to pop a double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook. All right, and the way we count that is we don't count the stitch on our hook, but we count that stitch right there. Let's see if I can get I'll get a close up so you can have a better look at these stitches. Okay, so there's your first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that 5th chain right there, just pop it in the top loop for now. You're putting a cluster set. Now that's 1 double crochet. So your yarn over your hook, pop it in there, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. That is your first double crochet. You're going to do another one in the same space, pop your hook in, pull up a loop, 3 loops, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 2, and again in the same space. All right, easy so far? Yes. All right, so now before we go on, I just wanted to show you something. I just want to grab my needle. A lot of people, and maybe when you're doing your blanket, not so much while you're doing the swatch, they like to pop their hook, instead of popping it in the stitch in front, which is there, they turn their work over a bit and they pop it in that back bump right there. Now, I think popping it in the back bump gives it, this particular blanket, a better look. However, if you are new to crochet, or if you're sort of new but you know you've been doing it for a while, I would still use the front loops so that you can get a bit more experience with chaining. Okay, I just wanted to mention that for the more avid crocheters and more professional crocheters, if you want to take that risk and trying it in that back bump, then that would be good too. Give your work a tug. Now the reason being is there's a little chain right there that can be missed sometimes when we're working on a project like this. We're going to skip 1, 2 and jump into the third chain with a cluster set of 3 double crochets again. 1, 2 and 3. All right, now we have the 2 sets there. The next one we do is going to be our first peak. So you're skipping 1, 2, you're jumping into the third like normal, and you're doing 1 cluster set like normal for now. 1, 2 and 3. And because this is our peak, we're going to chain 1 and 2. And we're going to pop another cluster set of 3 double crochets in the same space. So pop in your 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. Now you're going to be very wary here because look how big that chain's gone. Just give everything a tug so that you can make sure you find that first chain afterwards to do your count. All right, so you've got 1, give it a tug, make sure we don't want to miss anything. In fact, it's right there. 1, 2, pop into your third one with 1 cluster set. 2 and 3. All right, just giving it a tug. You've got another cluster set, 1, 2 and 3. And in this cluster set, you will be doing your valley. So 1, whoops, that didn't work. Lost the thread there, sorry. 2 and 3. What I mean by the valley, okay, you've done your peak there, yeah? Now we're going down to form the valley. Now, to form the valley, very basic. You are skipping 5 chains and you're hopping in the 6th chain here. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pop into your 6th chain with your first cluster set. With a cluster set. Try not to make this too loose here. 1, 2 and 3. Looks a bit weird now, but it will sort itself out later when you do the next couple of rows, okay? So now we are doing, from here we are counting 1, 2, jumping into your third one with another cluster set. 1, 2 and 3. Let me just show you what you've done so that you understand where we're heading now, because we're heading back into the peak in a minute. There's your peak, we've done your valley, we're heading back up to the peak. You do have another cluster set. That cluster set that we're doing now will be your double cluster set for your peak. All right, so you are skipping 1, 2 and 3 with your double cluster set. So that is 3 double crochets, chain 2, when I get there, chain 1 and 2, I'm ahead of myself, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. All right. Ooh, it's really stretched that stitch, look at it. It sorts itself out later, trust me. All right, so once again you are skipping, try and find it, chain 1, 2, and in your third one you are popping a cluster set, just 1, because we've done our peak. So this is our next cluster set, 2 and 3. All right, now same thing's going to happen here. You're going to skip 1, 2 and 3. Okay, you've got 1 chain left on the end. You should have 1 chain left. Pop in your full cluster set here first. just your 3 double crochets. If you haven't got one chain left, go back and check your stitches and your count, especially when we did this part here, because that takes up a lot of space. All right, so now in that very last chain right there, you're putting 1 double crochet. That's it. All right, so let me show you what you've done. Looks like the letter M, doesn't it? All right, guys, so that's that. I'm a little bit wobbly, but that sorts itself out. Trust me. Trust me. Would you buy a used car from this lady? No. Oh, my poor subscribers. All right, now what we're going to do, oh no, don't turn your work yet. First thing we're going to do here is we're going to chain up 4. Chaining 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn your work. Now, we're going to do our clusters across. Now this row here is an easy row, only you've just got to remember where to put your first cluster. You skip that space, you jump over all of these double crochets, the cluster set from the previous row, pop in the space only, not the stitch, just in a space with 3 double crochets. 2 and a 3. Oh, sometimes I go too fast. Sorry guys, I'll slow down. Jump into your next space with your 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, cool. So jump into that corner. That's your next space you're going to go into. That corner there, what you're going to do is that set. So you're going to do what I call a double cluster set. So pop in 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 2, and 3 double crochets. That is all you will do whenever you get to a peak. That's it. It's super easy, this pattern. Okay, super easy. Then you've got your next space, jump into there with 3 double crochets. Whoops. Finish off your stitch, Mary. 2 and 3. Jump into that next space with 3 double crochets. But don't go into the next, just hold it there. All right, I just wanted to show you so you know where you're going. This is what you've done, which is very basic. Going up, you've done your little peak. Now you're on your way down to the valley, which is what I like to call the valley. I don't know what other people call it, but I like to call it a valley because it kind of looks like a valley, yeah? You're not going to pop a cluster set in there. This is where your chain 5 is sitting. You're going to jump over all of that. Jump over that cluster set, jump over that cluster set, go into your second space, making sure it's not too loose here because you don't want to leave that too loose. Doing a normal cluster set, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so what you did was you pulled that nice and close, which is forming your valley to peak downwards rather than up. Jump into your next space with your cluster set. Just 1. Then you jump straight into your corner set right there, your peak, with a peak double set. So try 3 double crochets. I don't know where I got 2 from. 3 double crochets, chain 2, that's probably what I meant, and 3 double crochets. Oh dear. 2 and 3. Now we're going back down the valley, but all the way to our stitch, our last stitch there. So you jump over your set, you go into the next space with a normal cluster set, just 1. Jump into the next space with a cluster set, just 1. All right, now here you have a little space before the chains. Don't go in there. What you need to do, you need to pop 1 double crochet in that top of the chain, and I'll explain where it is so that you can see it. In fact, let me show you, just so you know where to put your needle, your hook, sorry. That's the stitch to the first double crochet, that's your second, and that's your third, yes, right there. So right next to that is that chain right there. All right, so from now on, we're going to pop stitch markers in so that you can find it. I think it might be a lot easier. A lot of newbies are not sure exactly where to pop their hook, so that belongs to the stitch. Right next to it is a chain. You're doing 1 double crochet in there. Just 1. Easy? All right, now let me show you what you have so you'll know what you're looking at. All right, there's that letter M again. All right, pretty cool. You've got your peak, you've got your valley, your peak, and back down to your valley. All right, I'm going to show you one more row, and then I would like for you to have a bit of a practice. So let's just try one more row first. You're chaining 1, 2, 3, and 4, and if it helps, pop your stitch marker in this 4th chain. I think it's a really good idea. And turn your work. And then remember, we are skipping the space. We are jumping straight into the next space with a cluster set. 1, 2, and 3. Jumping into your next. 1, 2, and 3. Now you're at your peak. Pop in your double cluster set. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so we have that first cluster set, and now we're chaining 1 and 2, remember, because this is our peak, and we're popping our second cluster set in there. 1, 2, and 3. Oops, sorry guys, making a mess here. Now we're going to pop a cluster set. Now we're going down towards the valley. All right, so we're going to pop a cluster set in your next space. 1. Sorry about that stitch marker noise, guys, sorry. And 1 in your next. And then hold it there, so we can have a look at the peak. I'm sorry, try the valley. All right, so there's your valley again. See, now you're starting to get that look. So you know the valley is going to come up. So skipping both those cluster sets, jumping straight into that next space, doing your cluster set, remembering not to pull this too loose or too tight. 2 and 3. Jump into your next cluster set. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're back up to the cluster set again. Double cluster set in there. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1 and 2. 1, 2, and 3. 1 in your next set, in your next space, sorry. 2, 3, 1 into the next. 1, 2, and 3. Skip over all of that, not in the stitch of the double crochet, but the stitch right next to it. You're popping your double crochet in there. All right, so let's have a quick look see, and there's that letter M again. All right, so what you have is that. Okay, it's starting to form that peak. You can see it now, it's gorgeous. It's looking pretty much the way you want it to look. Now, a couple of things that you need to decide for yourself. Do I want to start colour changing? Okay, if you do, I'm just going to grab some cotton that I've got lying around here. I'm not going to use the same wool, and probably would have been best to use this cotton, to be honest with you, to do the whole project, because it's nice and bright. We're going to pretend like we were going to change yarn at the end. Okay, so let's pretend that we were going to change yarn. You start that stitch like so. And you know how normally we put a yarn over and pull it through both loops? We won't do that. We'll drop that yarn, we'll grab the green, like so, pop it through. Okay, I'm going to take that undone though. I just wanted to show you colour change, okay? Chain 1, 2, 3 and 4, turning your work, jumping over all of that and straight into your next space with your cluster set. I'm not going to do the whole row, I just want to show you 2 of them so you can see how the colour change works, and I'll just do 2. That's all I want to do. I don't really want to go through the whole thing. And in fact, we're going to take that out in a minute because I want to show you measurements and how to work out measurements. All right. So that's how you do a colour change. Later, you will weave in these ends. Okay. Now, if you're anything like me who likes to put a border, then I'll show you eventually how to do a border on a small swatch again in the future. But for now, this is pretty much how we do this piece. Now, before we go on, I just wanted to show you measurements so you understand how to measure your work and how many rows you need for your work. Oops. Let's just pop a stitch marker in there. Now I pop a stitch marker in that loop, and I do that now with all my tutorials so I can pull it shut and don't lose my stitch. So that if that's a bit of a tip and you haven't seen us before, it's a tip that'll help you out. Now, 2 things you need to do. Remember, after you chain up 4, on that 4th chain, pop a stitch marker in so that you can find the stitch at the end of the row. So when I turn around and I do my last cluster set there and I jump over and I want to pop a double crochet in, I'll pop it in that loop where we've put our stitch marker. All right, so that's that. Now let me talk to you about measurements. And I got my glasses here, and I've got an old book that I did some scribble on. Give me 1 second and I'll bring out the chart so you can see. Now this is just a rough chart. It's not a real one. I didn't, measure it properly. I just, roughly. Now, let's just say for argument's sake, roughly, my work, it probably does because I did this before in a different thread, so it might match. That is 20 centimetres from there to there. Let's just say that's what it is, 20 centimetres or whatever it is, 8 inches. Oh, look, it is too. Exactly 20 centimetres. Look, I'll get it close up so you can see. So you're measuring from that line there all the way over to the line on the other side, right there. So it's 20, oh, sorry. So it's 20, not even in frame. So it's 20 centimetres or 8 inches, all right? So let's say our little rise and peak and valley and whatever that is exactly 20 centimetres that way. All right, let's do that right there. Let's grab the pencil. We used 36 chains across here. Figure out how big you want or how wide you want your work to be, and then you multiply what we did here. So let's say you want it to be, I don't know, 100 centimetres. So that'll be times, let's just say you wanted it to be, we'll try it. You wanted it to be 100 centimetres, which is there. Yes. And if that is 20 centimetres, you're timesing that by 5, okay? To make 100, you're timesing that piece by 5, yeah? So if you're timesing that piece by 5, you need to times the chains that we worked on by 5. Now we worked on 36 chains there, okay? So times by 5, yeah? So 30, put the naught down, carry the 3. So 3 5s are 15, 16, 17, 18, that's 180 chains. You would need, if you wanted to make your blanket, if yours worked out to be 20 centimetres as well, being careful, watch your count. Don't rely on what I've got here, because my crochet can be tighter than yours, looser than yours. It can be thicker yarn, it can be thinner yarn, or whatever. So don't rely on my count. But if I had to do 100, right, I would need your 5 times 36. I would need that 5 times. Yes? All right, get it? I hope that made sense for you. So count how big you want your blanket, divide it by your piece, and then you'll know roughly how many stitches you need to cast on. So all you need to remember is to chain 18 times whatever you actually want, okay? Whatever suits your numbers that you worked out. So take your little piece, measure it with a measuring tape or measure it towards your bed, doing that, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to measure it, it doesn't matter. The reason I say this is because everybody uses different size yarn. You can use a 10 ply, 12 ply, 14 ply, or number 3, number 4, number 5, whatever number you've got in your country. You can use any kind of yarn that you want and any size hook that you want for your work. That is the best part about this blanket, the Granny Ripple blanket, swatch, whatever you want to call it. That is the best part. You can do anything you want. Now, normally I would have done a full blanket. I know we're all expecting a blanket. I'm very, very busy right now, guys, so I thought I'd do a quick swatch. However, in probably around November of this year, which is not that far away now, a month and a half, oops, I will be doing a summer ripple, but it won't be like this. It'll be another kind of ripple. So it'll be, let's just turn this around. Let's just say there's our little peak. All right. It'll be maybe double crochets like that, or even 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in your next row, you'll have double crochets, chains, 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 chains. And then your next row will be double crochet. Sorry about that messy handwriting there. But there you go. It'll be a different kind of ripple, and it'll be more for our summer here in Melbourne, Australia. So the blanket will be made in, I don't know, ocean colours, if you will, like your nice bright colours. Whether I do it in a wool or a cotton, more likely a cotton, and more likely a thinner cotton rather than a thicker. But it doesn't matter. You can make it in anything you like. In the meantime, guys, this is the best part. That row you just finished, right there, you are going to repeat that row over and over and over again until you get to the size of the blanket that you want. Now, in the future, when we do the other blanket, I will talk to you about how much yarn you will need. Roughly, if you want to guess, if you are making for a baby, you're looking at 600 grams. So these skeins here, they come in hundreds. I think this is 200 grams somewhere here somewhere. Oh, there it is, right there. So they come in 200 grams. You would need 3 skeins, maybe 4 skeins for a newborn baby blanket. If you're making for beds, you will need to check your measurement and calculate how much yarn you would need for that. All right, so I'm not really sure where you're going with yours. This is as far as I'm going to go with it. And stick around in a couple of months' time when we do another ripple. It'll be completely different and it'll be something fun, and we'll have some beautiful summer colors added to it as well. All right, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you do for me. And also don't forget, we have our lives on Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Melbourne, Australia time, or Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. Join us for those lives. We have a lot of fun. We talk about, obviously we talk about crochet, yeah, but we also have a lot of fun. Sometimes we're a little bit silly, but it's all okay, all right? So don't forget to join us then. Also, in the description box down below, you will see some of our current projects that we are working on, like the Rustum and Vibrations poncho, a lot of the Halloween gear we're working on, just a lot of little things. You'll see those links in the description box down below. It'll be the first 3 or 4 links that you come to. All right, so there you go. There's your piece. Enjoy making your Granny Ripple swatch. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and ciao for now.